Hi guys, welcome back to another 3 Amigos video. In this video, I want to share with you my experience of using not one, but 2 Leica M9 cameras. Now, as you guys have known from previous videos, I had the opportunity to come across a M9 monochrome camera, which I picked up earlier this year and have absolutely fallen in love with the sensor of the CCD monochrome camera. So when I saw another good deal come for an M9 camera, I couldn't help myself but jump on the bandwagon to see if this M9 sort of magical sensor really proceeds in both of its cameras. So this was a 2-week sort of holiday. I was primarily in the States for one of my girlfriend's friend's wedding, and I had the opportunity to travel up to Yosemite National Park as well as to Vancouver to visit some family. So in this video, it's going to be more of like a photo sharing session. I'll share some of the photos that I took along the trip, including the ones that I liked. I took on this trip 2 Leica M9 cameras. One is the Leica M9, paired together with a 50mm pre-ASPH Subilux, as well as my trusted 35 pre-aspherical 1.4 Sumilux. Now both of these lenses are fairly old, from the 1980s / 1960s, but I wanted to see how it would pair together with the M9. Now the reason why I chose these 2 lenses is because I think the M9 for me was meant to simulate that film experience. As you know, M9 cameras are known for having that film look, and so I wanted to pair a more vintage lens to sort of bring out that character from the photos. Now, CCD sensors are becoming less and less common, and I think what blew me away was when you look at the images at the back of your camera, because of this very primitive sort of LCD, you become absolutely blown away when you put these photos onto Lightroom and you see the photos for the first time. It's sort of that same feeling where you develop your own film, or you get the film back from the store. Now, I'll make several sort of first-hand observations. Number one, the CCD sensor is really magical. The colors that you get from the sensor are outstanding, and the image quality is amazing as well. Most of these photos I actually haven't done too much in terms of editing. Maybe I've moved a little bit of the cursors in regards to the shadows and the highlights, but I've tried my best to keep the colors as original as it is. Now what you note from these photos is that the blue and the greens definitely pop a lot in the photo. And now when you pair these photos with, when you pair these cameras with vintage lenses, you'll definitely get a more softer look to it, and that's sort of the look that I'm really going after. There's a film-like quality to it. It's not clinically shot as per se, and actually if you look at some of the portraits in particular, you'll find that when you shoot wide open, it's that the photos are quite soft, but that's sort of the look that I really enjoy. I find that a lot of modern day cameras are a bit too sharp for my liking, and it really brings out that travel sort of vlogging experience when you look back at these photos. Now, I think another thing that really stood out for me in these photos was how the bokeh sort of renders. My girlfriend loves to take photos of flowers and foliage, and so you can really see how it has that almost oil painting like bokeh, but at the same time it's not too over the top, which you might find with some of the older Leica lenses. Another thing that I really enjoyed during this trip was how portable it was to carry just 2 cameras and 2 lenses. Now, this is coming from someone who used to carry 2 DSLR bodies along with 5 or 6 lenses with my laptop, tripod, accounting to about 15 to 16 kilograms of camera gear. So having 2 small cameras and 2 small lenses really made the trip really fun for me, because for me this trip wasn't just about the photography, but it was about the travel experience and capturing moments along the way. So I actually managed to fit both of these cameras in my Peak Design 3-liter sling bag, and it was just a great fun to take these cameras out and not having to worry too much about safety, weight, and various other issues. Now, one thing I noticed was that it's the first time I've traveled with 2 cameras, 2 Leica cameras, and having the 35 and the 50mm focal length is I have these two lenses because I know I use them a lot, and I know that they're the two most sort of popular Leica focal lengths in regards to Leica's history and its sort of database and how its users use the camera. But I found that sometimes I was a bit limited in terms of how I could compose my photos. Maybe it's because I'm used to using a zoom lens in my prior experience, so sometimes I wanted to go a little bit wider, or I wanted to go a little bit closer, but I found that I had a bit of difficulty doing that. And sometimes these sort of 1 meter minimum focusing distance on both lenses made it a little bit harder to take more photos, and so maybe that's something that could be to take into consideration if I want to, for example, consider buying the latest sort of FLE version 2, which has a closer focusing distance of 0.4 meters. So I wonder what's your, so that's a question I want to ask you guys actually. What's your favorite sort of two lens combination? Is it a 35-75, 28-50, 21-50? Let me know and put your answers down below in the comments. Now, one thing that I also want to bring out is that I definitely felt the temperament of the Leica M9 cameras. After all, these are pretty old cameras, touching near 13-15 years of use. So a lot of times the camera would sometimes hang when you're shooting. It has a very, very slow buffer, so you can shoot maybe 3 photos maximum in a burst mode before it would need to write on the SD card. And actually I had a third-party camera charger that came with the M9 when I bought it, and it actually broke during the trip. So I fortunately B&H sells these chargers, so I bought the original Leica charger, but it cost me close to $200, and needless to say it caused me quite a bit of panic during the trip. But thankfully I was in the States, so I could pay a little bit more for some extra same-day shipping. Another thing to take into consideration is that these cameras aren't weather sealed, so it did rain sometimes when I was in Vancouver, so that's why you notice that I have more photos from LA and Yosemite but less from Vancouver, mainly because of the weather. And one thing I like is that the photos are only 18 megapixels, and so as a raw file it's only about 25 to 30 megabytes per photo, which means that in terms of storage and everything, it does make life quite a bit easier on the road. So I'm looking forward to taking these two cameras onto more trips, and I hope you guys like the photos. Let me know what you guys think about the cameras or any questions you might have, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.